Hello, ladies and gentlemen. J-Bo here with another gun review. What the hell do we have today? Well, we have something really cool. This is a 1977 Glenfield Model 60 22lr rifle. It's very, very cool. It is a Christmas gift that my brother Jim got from my older brother. And I got a bolt action shotgun, which I also have a review for that. We're waiting to do shooting video this weekend for both the bolt action shotgun as well as this. So both of these, this rifle right here is a Rossi RS-22, and the reason why I have this with this one is to show you the obvious. But first, we're going to do a little kind of like look. This all wood stock with the butt plate here, and this is like the Marlin Model 60. It's a Glenfield. So the Glenfields were sold at a lot of places like Sears and you know, places like Kmart, things like that, other stores, maybe hardware stores, things like that. I don't know the whole history on them, but it's kind of like today when you have the Henry rifles that are Walmart exclusives for the chain, and Kmart used to do that as well with Marlin and Glenfield and things like that. So this is a very nice wood stock, and it has some engraving on here. Very, very nicely done. Quality wood etching. Hope you can see that okay. I think you can. Tube fed. It's got a tube magazine. Like the typical, you drop your rounds in. It's shaped like the round, as you can see. I believe this holds 15, though my brother was telling me you could get 16 or 17, but I would stick with the recommended. And a lot of times you just lose count loading it, so 16, 15, whatever, you're good to go. And so this is a very, 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 very excellent rifle with your kind of like buckhorn rear sight. And let's turn around this way, try to get a good look at the front sight. And it has that cross lines here to cut down on glare. And I just noticed this front sight is loose, so we will have to tighten that. And that's actually very loose. That is to test your skills, ladies and gentlemen. Have a really loose front sight on there and see if you can still hit stuff. But anyway, this is a tack driver. And we have Glenfield Model 60, it says. The Marlin Firearms Company. Caliber 22lr only. North Haven, Connecticut, USA. And it is the JM stamped barrel. And these serial numbers, there is a specific way to calculate. And my brother was explaining that to me. So basically how it works is the first two numbers of the serial number are 23 on this one. So what you do is you subtract 23 from 2000. That is how Glenfield does their serial numbers for the older models. For the newer models, the serial number starts with a 9, and then you subtract from 2100. So that puts it in the 2000s. So that's how that works with these. And very nicely blued. So that's how that works with this. This is a 1977. There are other models online. If you Google 1977 Glenfield Model 60, that's what you come out with. So anyway, it has the cross bolt safety, like you would expect. This has been checked to make sure it's not loaded. Now, when he first got this, the bolt was sticking. And you're not going to be able to see that on here, but underneath the bolt carriage is a slot which has a spring that comes up from underneath here. And that spring rides in that groove, and it was a little bent to the side. Either somebody bent it or it got bent somehow. I don't know how that happened, but what was happening is the bolt was catching halfway through and causing a malfunction to feed your first round. You had to really slam it in there. Now it's nice and smooth. Everything runs properly because I took it apart and fixed it. I bent that spring back. Everything's hunky-dory now. So we're going to make a shooting video this weekend of this. And as you can see, it's a very, very nicely done front end of the barrel. Very accurate rifle. We're shooting this, my brother was shooting this 100 yards, easy. Plink, 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 plink. Iron sights. And you can do the same thing with the Rossi RS-22. So why the hell do I have the Rossi RS-22 out? Well, it is blatantly apparent that the Mossberg Plinkster, the 702 Plinkster, and subsequently the Rossi RS-22, which are basically both the same rifle, were used the Marlin and Glenfield Model 60 bolt design and receiver design for their rifle. And you can see the blatantly obvious comparisons. So the Rossi, you see they even look the same. So both of these are reliable. Both of these function great. And what's really cool is this is a 1977, very common rifle. Should not have a hard time finding a used one of these in your local shops, online, wherever. And they don't go for a lot of money. This probably was 150 bucks. I don't know, because it was a gift. You usually don't say, well, geez, I spent all this on that. You usually don't say that. But you can get these for about 150. And in comparison, this polymer Rossi RS-22 is about 120 to 140 new. And you can actually find these. I think I saw some of these Black Friday on sale for $99. I mean, that's crazy. Because I've been shooting this for almost 3 years now. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rounds. Rarely, if ever, do you ever have a malfunction. It shoots everything. It shoots the weak 22s. It shoots the powerful 22s. Everything is accurate. I have absolutely no bad things to say about this. The sights are good. And I suspect that this Glenfield Model 60 is going to be the same thing. Because this ran like a champ. And I'm pretty sure it's going to run most things. And it's got a nice, beautiful wood stock, and that's really the difference. The other differences are, of course, is that's magazine fed, and that's tube fed. So, with that, they basically come apart the same way. These two screws. And the trigger group itself is a whole different thing. They're similar, but they have different pins and screws than each other. But basically, you can see that this was designed from this. So this is the original best whatever you want to call it. And the Marlin's nice too, but the Glenfield is nice as well. Basically the same thing. And we'll move Senor Rossi out of the way, as I like to call this one. That's another thing with this gun. You know, I don't care if it hits things. $119 I paid for that. And it has been fantastic. So when I did take this apart, I had the same kind of guide rod and recoil spring. Same method to take it apart and put it together as the Rossi or the Mossberg 702 Plinkster. So if you're familiar with those, you should be very familiar with this right off the bat, servicing this to clean it, etc., which is why I'm going through mentioning all of this. So this is the infamous rifle where you load up the magazine, you chamber around, and what happens is you chamber. And then you say, okay, well, I'm going to go home now, so I'm going to unscrew this. I'm going to dump all my rounds out. And I'm going to do what most people would do. You do this, eject your round, and the gun is empty. Except with this model, the gun is not empty. There's still a round in there. And other people on YouTube have demonstrated that. I'm going to demonstrate it here without firing it, obviously. Make sure the safety's on. Okay, so we're going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds. You can get about 17 in here, 18 if you want to push your luck. There we go. So now I'm going to chamber around, safety's on, not going to touch the trigger. Chamber around, move these out of the way. So remember, I put 5 rounds in here. So we're going to dump the tube because we're going home. There's 3 rounds. If you remember, we put 5 in here. So if you do some math, it tells you there's still 2 rounds in the gun. But you only have 1 chambered, and that's the danger with this rifle if you're going to use this with young people. Now the Rossi doesn't do that. That one, when you empty it, it's empty because you're using a magazine. And the way this system is with the carriage, there's 1 round underneath the one that's chambered, ready to go. So when you dump your tube out, you have 2 rounds left in here. So unless you're one of those people that meticulously count every shot you take, and you just go, wait a minute, the math isn't right, which is really not too many people. So I'm going to unchamber around. Now this is supposed to be empty, but if I pulled the trigger right now, it would fire. So watch what happens. Another round comes out. And that is the danger with this firearm. So you might want to get in the habit of, because you can see that round in there when it's ready to be chambered. So you might want to get in the habit of dumping your tube, locking the bolt open so you can physically see inside, like right there. Now if that round was right there, you'd be able to see it, and you can also see if one is chambered. I would recommend getting in the habit, owning this, to dump your tube out. If you're not going to cycle them all through before you go home till it's empty, dump your tube out like I did, where 3 rounds came out and then 2 rounds were left in here. 1 will be sitting down at the end of my finger in there. You'll actually physically see it, and you will see 1 chambered. So then you fling this open, it unchambers it, so you will see that one that's in there. So then if you see that, then you can just do this and then do that twice. Or you can get in the habit of dumping your tube and just cycling this until nothing comes out. So there's different ways to make sure you're safe with this, but that is highly recommended. I don't know if there's any other 22 rifles that do the same thing, but if there is, just something to be safe and be aware with it. And of course the Rossi doesn't do that. But this is a fantastic rifle, and I really hope you enjoyed this. Now, please stand by and enjoy the shooting video that accompanies it. And thank you very much for watching. These are really nice, and we'll flip this around this way. This is all metal. No plastics on here, back in the day. Metal trigger guard. Plastic is the butt plate. No Glenfield logo on it. So thank you for watching, and click like and subscribe, and enjoy the shooting video right now. It's just a short clip, so enjoy. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. Glenfield Model 60 from 1977. It's had the bugs worked out of it. It's been cleaned. And we're going to shoot a red gopher. Safety off.